In this video, I have another piece of U.S. ordnance. I have the M19 heavy non-metallic anti-tank mine. There aren't nearly as many of these in the inventory as the US M15. You don't mess with them that much. There's only a few hundreds of thousands of these in the inventory, not even a million. These were produced in the late 1950s. I have not heard of these going through the refurbishment program yet, like the M15s have, but I got a feeling what'll happen, since these are a plastic case, they're not going to refurbish them, they're just going to remove them when they're at the end of their life. Now, the M19 anti-tank mine requires the M22 arming wrench. This particular one I found out is actually new style. How you tell the difference? Well, the new style has this stupid little bar on it. For what reason? I have no idea, because we weren't told anything with this stupid little bar. Now, in our little scenario here, we captured some from the enemy. We're going to use them against them. We're going to be putting in an ambush out in the field. We've learned that there is going to be a motorized rifle company supported with tanks that is going to be attacking towards our position. So we are going to be using these mines in that field. The engineers do have a crude version of a Husky, not as accurate as ours. This mine will not be picked up by the Husky because it is non-metallic. So we've determined that we're going to use this. Now, to put this mine in operation, there will be a detonator, which I will show you or explain it to you once I get to that point. But in order to put this in, you'll need one detonator, which will come, I believe, in a small can. I've never messed with a live M19, only the 15s. So we'll have our can with our detonator, arming wrench, and the mine. Go through first, inspect your mine as always, make sure there's no major damage that would interfere with the use of this mine. This mine has for a filler composition B explosives, plastic explosives. It is not as affected by moisture as other types. Go through, do the safety checks on your mine. Take your wrench here. You got two wings here that are taller than the rest of them. Bridge it counterclockwise to unlock it. Now, sometimes this takes a little bit of play back and forth, get it to come up and out. We have a safe in an arm position, safety clip. Bottom here, right now we have the transport plugs, safety plug, however you want to think of it. This is where your detonator will go. The actual plugs themselves will have a notch cut in them. For on the training mines, they didn't put a notch. Unscrew your transport plug. Look inside there. Now, we tried focusing in. I ain't camera guy here and we cannot get it to focus for me to show you this. But down inside here, there's a little, basically what looks like a nipple. Everyone should know what a nipple looks like. You sucked on it at one point in your lifetime. It may have been a long time ago, but you sucked on it. There'll be a little nipple, and sticking out of that nipple, there's going to be a very small firing pin. Look down into the hole here. While it's in the safe position, make sure that that nipple and that firing pin is off on the side. You'll see it in there. You'll see a little raised bump. Make sure it's off to the side, not centered in the hole. Pass that safety check. Flip your M606 fuse plate over. Pull out your safety clip. Turn it from safe to armed. Safe over here, armed over here. Flip it over, look down inside. Now that nipple should be lined up directly with that little hole there for where the detonator is going to be. You see it? It's good. Flip it back over. Turn it from armed back to safe. Put your safety clip back in right away. Flip it back over. Put your transport plug back in. Also make sure, check the gasket on your mine if it's going to be a long-term emplacement. We'll make sure there's no debris inside the fuse well here. I know there's dirt. That's from the last time I used this mine, which was a few years ago when I did videos on locating mines by visual means. If there is this type of mine, just flip it over, shake it back and forth a little bit, get it out. Take our fuse plate so that you guys can see it a little bit better. Drop it back in, turn by hand, finish it with the wrench the rest of the way, and it's ready for use. So we've gone out, we've been shown where our mines are supposed to go in that field that we anticipate they're going to try pushing those motorized rifle troops through. We're anticipating we're going to have BMPs supported by T-72 tanks. We're going to put in a hasty minefield because it's not going to be large enough for a standard package minefield. Anything that's not standard package is a hasty. We get our tape put out there, distance for our mines. We get the holes dug. So we go out there where we're going to put the holes, set the mine down, our wrench, and then our container with our detonator. We go through, dig the hole for the mine, just like the M19. You want it the size of the mine, the right shape. Make sure the 45-degree angle, the sides of your hole going all the way around. For how deep to put this, because we're going to be putting it in a field, not in a roadway, we're only going to go up to here. We want more of the mine, of the fuse plate itself above the ground compared to when it's in a road. Because you're in a field, it's going to be more uneven. We got grass, we got all kinds of little, differences in the microterrain out there that could cause issues. So we're only going to make sure that the depth of the hole is up to this point of our fuse plate. We put our mine inside the hole and we're going to arm it now. Take our wrench, unlock our 606 fuse plate, set the wrench aside, take the fuse plate out, flip her over. Now on here you got this little bump. That's actually the wrench for taking out the plug if you have one that's properly notched. Take out your fuse plug and you get your detonator. Your detonator will look just like your fuse plug, but it's going to be green. And it's going to have a little brass piece right here. Almost like it's a 22 shell shoved inside here. Take that, screw it in, screw your detonator down in there, and no, I cannot find a nomenclature for the detonator, and I do not remember it because it was a long time ago when I was trained on these. Snug it up using your wrench, flip your fuse plate back over, drop it in there to the mine, lock it into position. We have the dirt that's already filled up to this point. Remove our safety clip, pulling it straight out. Save your safety clip. Arm your mine using the ends of your wrench. Safe to arm. And then camouflage your mine. Now, if you remember in the M15 mine, I mentioned you put it in a field. You're going to cut yourself basically a piece of carpeting out of the grass. Cut yourself your carpet square. At this point, you're going to take your carpet square and you're going to lay that grass square right over the top of the mine to conceal it. You're going to tuck your edges to make sure that's not easily seen. So we got the fuse plate is elevated above the top of the ground. The grass is up over the top of it, camouflaging it. We have a wider hole, which will cut down on the possibility of the enemy vehicle bridging it. Now, the M606 fuse plate on the M19 takes 350 to approximately 500 pounds of downward pressure to set this mine off. What happens with this, it presses down in the center here. That firing pin's going to go down, hit the detonator. Detonator's going to go off. It's going to set off booster, set off the mine. This is a track width mine. You need a tire or track to go over the top of it to set it off. Now, to remove this is very simple. First thing, as with any mine, go up, do your search. Find the edges of the mine, search all the way around it. Search, if this minefield has not been under your observation the entire time, make sure it has not been messed with. The enemy has not come in and put in anti-handling devices on here to kill you when you try to remove the mine. You check the sides, check the secondary fuse wells, you check underneath the mine, make sure that there's no booby traps underneath. And how do you do that? You feel underneath. You keep going, you work your hand up to the midway point when you're feeling underneath, and while you're doing that, you hold down pressure on the other side as you're feeling underneath the mine. Then you backfill the dirt on that side, make sure it's nice and solid, go through, dig out, check the other side. She's good to go, backfill the dirt, and then you continue with your procedure. After, I got ahead of myself. That's after you go through and put this on safe. But we go through, the attack occurred. We're pulling the mines out now. We've uncovered the mine. The minefield was under friendly observation the entire time, obviously, because it was in the kill zone. No enemy sappers messed with the mines. We uncover it. Safe the mine. Go from armed to safe with the wrench. Take our safety clip, slide it up in there. The mine is safed. At this point, this is when you would go through, check for anti-handling devices after you safe the mine. But like I said, we were under observation. Work the fuse plate off, take your wrench, remove your detonator, put that back in a container where it's not going to get damaged, take the shipping plug, transport plug, screw that back in. Mine is now defused. Grab it by the carrying handle, slowly lift it up and out of the hole. Turn in the mine, the detonator, the arming wrench back to your supply point till needed to be used later. As I mentioned with the M15s, there are a set number of times you're supposed to be able to reuse these. There'll be a piece of tape on one of these corners here with tick numbers on it, or tick marks on it, telling you the number of times that mine has been used in training or on missions during its service life. If you get to the maximum point, you got one more tick mark you can go before it becomes questionable safety-wise. Save that mine for use in a row mine field later so that it'll get its one final use. And then when that row mine field was removed later after the war, more than likely they're going to be blown in place anyway. All safety clips and wrenches get turned into your NCOIC, the non-commissioned officer in charge, so that they would be collected up, put inside a sandbag, and buried near your end row marker. So that when the mines are removed later, they can be safed correctly and then removed from the holes. Any questions? You're not going to see too many of this type of mine. There's not that many of them out there. In U.S. doctrine, really you're only supposed to put these in like one row of a minefield because there's so few of them. And most of the minefields we trained on, we just used the M15s and M21s and bypassed the 19s altogether. And I never handled a live one. I handled them when I would do my yearly qualifications. I would handle the trainers, but we never got a live one because there wasn't any at the inventory for that base. Now, for all my engineer brothers and the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, essayons.